Hello and welcome again. Today in this video, we will understand the normal range of different tests. We will also understand about the abnormal values and what it indicates. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. It helps the YouTube algorithms so that this video can show up for more people. Before we move forward, I would like to mention that the normal values are different in different labs. This is just a guide to analyze the condition. So, let us begin the video. The very first test that we will discuss is complete blood count. It is also called, in short, CBC. It is also called as complete blood picture or full blood count. CBC test is a test which tells about the overall health and also tells about different diseases like anemia, infection, etc. There are different parameters in this test. Let us check them one by one. The very first parameter is hemoglobin. In short, it is called as HB. We will also discuss about red blood cells because hemoglobin and red blood cells are connected. Now, what is hemoglobin and what is its role in our body and how it is connected to red blood cells? Let us see that. Now, hemoglobin is an iron rich protein embedded in the RBC, which means it is attached to the RBC. When we breathe air, HB sticks to oxygen in the lungs and transports this oxygen to every tissues and organs, and in return takes the waste product carbon dioxide produced by the cells to the lungs to throw it out of the body. Now, every cell in our body needs oxygen to produce energy. So, now what will happen if oxygen level is not sufficient in sufficient amount? The cell will be damaged. It will not function properly. So, if hemoglobin or red blood cells level is low, then there will be not enough oxygen level in the body, which will lead to various diseases like anemia or lung diseases like COPD or asthma. One more thing is important to remember that all the cells are made in bone marrow. How? When the kidney releases a hormone called erythropoietin, it stimulates the production of red blood cells. So, if in bone marrow there is some disorder or there is a bone marrow cancer, there are chances of excess production of red blood cells. And if red blood cells will increase, hemoglobin level will also increase. Now, what will happen if the RBC or the HB level increases? When the HB level or RBC level will increase, it will thicken the blood, which will affect the free flow of blood in the blood vessels. Now, then this can lead to blood clotting. Now, this will also lead to cardiovascular diseases or stroke. Another factor we need to know is that hemoglobin will increase when there is a high demand for oxygen in the body. Means if there is lack of oxygen in the body, your body will make more red blood cells to compensate for the lack. So, it means that in case of lung disease like COPD or asthma, there is a decrease in the amount of oxygen. So, when this happens, your body will produce more red blood cells, which will increase the level of hemoglobin. Now, this can also happen in a high altitude area where the oxygen level is low. So let us quickly understand the normal value of hemoglobin and red blood cells. The normal value of the hemoglobin for men and women are different. So for men it is between 14 to 17 gram per dl, and for women it is 12 to 15 gram per dl. The normal range of red blood cells for men and women are different. So for men it is between 14 to 17 gram per dl, and for women it is between 12 to 15 gram per dl. The next parameter is white blood cells. In short, it is called as WBCs. It is also called as leukocytes. The normal value of WBC is between 4,500 to 10,000 cells per microliter. So now WBCs are part of our immune system that protects our body from infection. They are the soldiers of our body. Now there are 5 types of WBCs: lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils. All of these types fight against infection. So whenever there is an infection in the body, the count of WBC will increase to fight against the infection. So WBCs increase when there is a viral infection or bacterial infection or an autoimmune disease. Now, since all the cells are made in bone marrow, in a bone marrow disorder or failure of bone marrow, the count of WBCs will increase. Now, WBC count will also decrease where there is a vitamin B12 deficiency. In HIV or AIDS also, the WBC count will decrease because the bacteria of HIV attacks the WBCs in the large number, which leads to a low WBC count. WBCs reduce in number in chemotherapy and radiation because chemotherapy and radiation destroys the healthy cells also. Now, about the red blood cells, we have already discussed. We have discussed that it carries oxygen due to the protein called hemoglobin. Now, the amount of oxygen that is delivered to your body's tissues depends on the number of red blood cells you have and how well they work. That means if the red blood cells are healthy, only then oxygen will be delivered to the tissues and organs. The reasons of high level of red blood cells can be a bone marrow disorder, dehydration, kidney disorder, low blood oxygen level, also a high altitude are some reasons where the count of RBCs will increase. Now, low levels of RBCs may be due to anemia, bleeding, bone marrow disorder, bone marrow failure, kidney disorders, or maybe there is too little iron in the body, or vitamin B12 deficiency and malnutrition are another causes for low level of RBCs. The next parameter is hematocrit. In short, it is called as HCT. It is also called as packed cell volume. I just want to mention over here that red blood cells are also called as erythrocytes. So HCT is also called as packed cell volume. So the normal range of HCT is 40% for men and 31% for women. HCT measures the proportion of red blood cells in the blood. Now we know that blood contains red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and the fluid portion called plasma. Now the word hematocrit means to separate blood. Now red blood cells are separated from the rest of the blood so that they can be measured. The test shows whether you have normal amount of red blood cells, too many or too few. So, when the HCT level is low, the amount of red blood cells in the blood is lower than usual. Low RBC count indicate the condition of anemia or blood loss, or there is lack of vitamins and minerals. Now if the HCT level is high, means the proportion of red blood cells in the blood is high, correct? Now this can indicate that there is dehydration in the body, or the person is suffering from lung disease or heart disease, or the person is living in some higher altitude area. Polycythemia vera is also another cause of high level of HCT. Now, what is polycythemia vera? It is a disorder that causes your body to make too many red blood cells. The next parameter is mean corpuscular volume. In short, it is called as MCV. The normal range or normal score of MCV is 80 to 95 femtoliter. Mean corpuscular volume measures the size of the red blood cells. It helps to evaluate the size of the red blood cells, whether they are big or too small in size. Now we know that RBCs carry oxygen throughout the body to support the health and the functions of organs and tissues. Changes in size, changes in volume can affect the distribution of oxygen throughout the body. If the MCV level is below 80 femtoliter, that means the size of the red blood cells is small, which is called as microcytic anemia. Now, small sizes of red blood cells means it will affect the level of hemoglobin, and if the hemoglobin will be affected, there will be lack of oxygen and iron in the body. So, such kind of anemia is caused due to iron deficiency. Lead poisoning may also affect the level of MCV. Thalassemia, a genetic disorder, causes your body to have less hemoglobin than normal. Now, if the level of MCV is high, means the size of RBC is larger than normal. Now, this is called as macrocytic anemia. Macrocytic anemia. Macrocytic anemia is caused due to lack of vitamin B12 or folate in the body. Chemotherapy or radiation can also be the cause of high MCV levels. The next parameter in this test is platelets, which is also called as thrombocytes. The normal value of platelets is between 1,40,000 to 4,50,000 cells per microliter. Now, platelets are tiny cell fragments that form clots when there is a damage to a blood vessel. For example, if you cut your finger, platelets mix with clotting factor. Clotting factors are basically the proteins in the blood. It mixes with that and it forms a clot in the area, in the injured area. It mixes with a clotting factor and it forms a glue like a substance, that stops the bleeding. So, if your platelet count is low, you may not have enough platelets to clot a wound, which means if you are injured, you may bleed too much, which would lead to excessive blood loss, which can be life threatening. That is why platelets are very, very important. In case of internal bleeding, also, it can be life threatening if the platelets count is low because there won't be enough platelets to stop the bleeding. Now, you must have heard in dengue fever, the platelets count becomes low because the dengue virus attacks the bone marrow where the platelets are formed. Because of this, the normal production of platelets is affected, leading to fewer platelets. In chemotherapy and radiation, also, the platelet count becomes low because the healthy platelets also get destroyed. Platelet count becomes low in bone marrow cancer, chronic bleeding, HIV, AIDS. Also, in a person taking certain medications like aspirin, H2 blockers, cause a platelet count to be low. Now, what will happen if the platelet count is high? If the platelet count is high, it will cause the blood to clot, which can be dangerous. It can be the cause of cardiovascular diseases or stroke. The next parameter is ESR. It is also called as erythrocytes sedimentation rate. Now, an ESR test can help determine if you have a condition that causes inflammation. So, if your ESR is high, it may be related to an inflammatory condition. The normal range of the ESR for male and female are different. For male, it is between 1 to 10 mm, and for female, it is between 5 to 15 millimeters. Now, let us talk about another test, that is liver function test. In short, it is also called as LFT. Why a liver function test is recommended? For that, we need to understand the function of liver in our body. Liver is the biggest solid organ in the human body. Liver performs hundreds of functions to keep our body healthy. One of the most important role it has is to remove toxins from the blood so that it doesn't build up in our system. Now, liver, what does the liver do? Liver breaks down harmful substances and the byproducts of these substances are excreted out into the bile or blood. The bile byproducts enter the intestine and leaves the body in the form of feces. Now, the blood byproducts are filtered out by the kidneys and leave the body in the form of urine. So that is why liver is very, very important because it has a major role of removing the toxins from the blood. Now let us understand the different parameters of this test. So the first parameter is bilirubin total. We will also understand conjugated bilirubin and unconjugated bilirubin as well. Let us quickly look at the normal values of all the three. The normal value of the total bilirubin is between 0 to 1 milligram per dl. The normal range of the conjugated bilirubin is between 0 to 0.35 mg per dl, and the normal range of unconjugated bilirubin is between 0.2 to 0.65 mg per dl. Now, what is this bilirubin and what is the story of it? So, bilirubin is a byproduct made when the red blood cells break down in the spleen after finishing the cycle of 120 days. Or we can say that when the red blood cells become old, it breaks down in the spleen. When the red blood cells break down, there is a breakdown of hemoglobin and the heme part of the hemoglobin. Now, breakdown of heme releases biliverdin, which is reduced to bilirubin. Now, this bilirubin is insoluble in blood. This bilirubin is also known as unconjugated bilirubin or indirect bilirubin. Now, this bilirubin is insoluble in blood, so in order to circulate in the blood, it must be bound to albumin. Only then it will be able to go to the liver. Now, here the liver will make this unsoluble bilirubin into water soluble with the help of enzymes so that it can be eliminated properly. Now, this water soluble form of bilirubin is called conjugated bilirubin or direct bilirubin. Now, this conjugated bilirubin is added to bile so that it can be released in the intestine and then excreted out. So, an abnormal level of bilirubin means there is a liver disorder. Elevated bilirubin may also be due to hemolytic anemia. Hemolytic anemia is a condition when there is a rapid breakdown of red blood cells. Another reason of elevated bilirubin can be chronic heart failure. Why? Because in chronic heart failure, the hepatic blood flow decreases, due to which the unconjugated bilirubin does not reach the liver to get conjugated. Any blockage in the bile duct or gallbladder also can lead to high level of bilirubin. Now, low levels of bilirubin may be due to a certain medication or also due to excess caffeine intake. The next parameter is SGOT and SGPT. The normal range of SGOT and SGPT is between 10 to 40 international unit per liter. Now, as we discussed, that one of the most important role of liver is to detoxify waste products in the hemoglobin. So, to conduct all the functions properly, the liver produces and secretes several types of enzymes. Out of all the enzymes that liver produces, SGOT and SGPT are the most common enzymes. When your liver is injured, it releases enzymes into your bloodstream. Specifically, SGOT and SGPT, which is also known as AST and ALT. So, when the liver is damaged, these enzymes leak into the bloodstream, causing elevated levels of SGOT and SGPT. Now, point to be noted here is that SGOT is also found in kidneys, muscles, heart, and even the brain, whereas SGPT is specifically found in liver. So, SGOT levels rise during liver complications, heart attacks, or muscle injuries. And SGPT levels rise only during liver diseases and damage to the tissues in the liver. Certain other conditions like alcohol consumption or certain medications like cholesterol lowering drugs can cause the elevated levels of SGOT and SGPT. Even fatty liver can be one of the reason of SGOT and SGPT level to increase. The next parameter in this test is alkaline phosphatase. The normal value of alkaline phosphatase is between 40 to 112 unit per liter. Alkaline phosphate, in short, is also called as ALP. ALP is an enzyme found in liver and bone. It helps break down protein. High levels mean there is a liver damage or there is a blockage in the bile duct or stones in gallbladder. High level of ALP may also indicate some bone diseases because ALP is also present in bones. Now, low levels of ALP may indicate protein deficiency or malnutrition. The next parameter is total protein. Proteins are important building blocks of all the cells and tissues. Protein is necessary for your body's growth and development and health. It gives energy to the body. It rebuilds muscles and helps the immune system. Protein also prevents fat to build up and also prevents damage to the liver cells. If the liver is damaged, proteins are not properly processed and the waste products may build up and affect the brain. Now, total protein measures albumin and globulin. Albumin and globulin are two types of proteins in your body. Let us quickly see the normal value of all the three. So, the normal value of total protein is between 6 to 8.5 gram per liter, and the normal value of albumin is between 3.5 to 5 gram per liter, and the normal value of globulin is between 2 to 3.5 gram per liter. Now, what is the role of albumin in the body? Albumin is produced in the liver. Now, blood is made of fluid and blood cells that we know. Albumin, what does albumin do? Albumin keeps the fluid part of your blood from leaking out of your blood vessels and into other tissues. So, if you don't have enough albumin, fluid can leak out and build up in your lungs, abdomens, or the other parts of the body. Albumin also helps vitamins, enzymes, hormones, and other substances circulate throughout your body. Albumin level can indicate nutritional deficiencies like not getting enough protein. Higher than normal value of albumin may be a sign of dehydration, diarrhea, or excess intake of protein. The low level may be a sign of infection, kidney disease, liver disease, fatty liver, or liver cancer, or poor nutrition. Now, what is globulin? Now, some globulins are made by your liver and others are made by our immune system. About 40% of the protein in your blood are alpha, beta, and gamma globulins. Why do we need globulins? We need globulins to fight infections, form blood clots, and keep the liver and kidneys functioning well. Now, higher level of globulins may be a sign of infection or inflammation or immune system disorder. Low levels may be a sign of liver disease or kidney disease, or maybe there is some malnutrition in the body. So this was about liver function test. So this is the end of this video. In the next video, I will discuss about some more tests and its normal values. Thank you for watching this video. Take care.